line up on Friday against the White Sox. And in the NFL, Panthers and wide receiver Jalen Coker agreed to terms on a 3-year extension worth $35 million.
Live from the heart of SEC country, this is your daily fix of grit, guts, and gridiron glory. Welcome to the Deep South College Football Show.
Bowen, here he goes! Georgia retakes the lead!
Breaking down the biggest matchups, the boldest takes, and the deepest rivalries in college football on Tide 100.9 and 1230 AM WTBC.
Intercepted! They confused him! Xavier Brown headed the other way! Touchdown Tide!
From Fayetteville to Gainesville, from the Grove to Toomer's Corner, it's SEC football. Now, here's your award-winning host, Wyatt Fulton.
Welcome into a Friday edition of the Deep South College Football Show right here on Tide 100.9 and 1230 AM WTBC, your home for Alabama Crimson Tide sports. Hey, today is our Arkansas season preview. We're moving through SEC teams in alphabetical order, so if you missed yesterday's show, we talked all about the University of Alabama, so be sure to go back and check that out. Check out our season preview of the Crimson Tide. Today, we will talk a little bit about the Arkansas Razorbacks. New head coach Ryan Silverfield, quarterback battle after the departure of Sam Pittman in the middle of last season. Bobby Petrino was the offensive coordinator. He is now off to Chapel Hill, North Carolina to be the offensive coordinator for Bill Belichick and the North Carolina Tar Heels. So a lot of new faces in Fayetteville, a lot to talk about with the Arkansas Razorbacks. With the gentlemen in the studio, Jackson O'Brien, Whitman Clark. How are we doing today, guys?
Doing well. The new Co Wetzel album dropped this morning, so I'm happy.
I completely forgot he dropped a new album. Is it good?
It's pretty good. It might be my favorite he's dropped in a while.
Okay. I'm a big Co Wetzel fan, so I got to tune into that here this afternoon. Probably listen to a little Co Wetzel as I'm getting ready to watch the Men's College World Series. Troy and West Virginia, they got first pitch here in, I think an hour or so?
Yeah, and then the Ole Miss UNC tonight.
Ole Miss UNC, so going to be a lot of fun at the College World Series in Omaha, Nebraska. Don't forget, Alabama gets started tomorrow afternoon at 2 o'clock Central Time. The Crimson Tide and the Sooners in a rematch of a regular season series that Alabama took by 2-1. Alabama won 2 out of the 3 matchups with the Oklahoma Sooners in Norman earlier this season, but a lot has changed since Alabama and Oklahoma faced off in the 4th weekend of conference play. Whitman Clark hanging out with us here as well. How you doing, man?
Hot, man. I'm hot. Took my dog for a walk this morning, beat the heat, still sweat my tail off, but my dog is exercised, I'm exercised, and now I'm inside away from it. So ready to get going.
That's the way to do it. Beat the heat, man. I was going to mow the grass this morning, and then I woke up a little bit late and realized, that's not going to happen today. That's not going to happen today. So hopefully I can cut some grass tomorrow morning here because my yard needs it desperately here. Don't forget, again, like I mentioned earlier, Alabama gets started in the College World Series tomorrow. There is a watch party. There's 2 watch parties. One will be at Heat Pizza Bar. The other one will be at Baumhauer's Victory Grill. So if you're not in Omaha to support the Crimson Tide, it's okay. You can support them from home base here in Tuscaloosa and check out either of those watch parties. The game starts at 2 o'clock. We will carry the broadcast for the radio side. Roger Hoover, I believe David Kindred as well, and the Crimson Tide Sports Network will be on the call. Airtime is 1:45. First pitch scheduled for 2 o'clock Central Time here in Tuscaloosa. The game will also be broadcast on ESPN if you want to watch it on television there. So should be a lot of fun. I think Alabama's got a really good shot there to get a victory in the College World Series. It would be the first time since 1999 that Alabama's won a game in Omaha, Nebraska. So would be the first one that we've seen in quite some time. We're talking a little bit about the Arkansas Razorbacks today as we are doing our Arkansas season preview here. New head coach Ryan Silverfield. He was the head coach at Memphis prior to taking the Arkansas gig. And the way he got hired at Arkansas was a little odd, right? We talked with Ty Richardson during spring practice here a couple of months, or about 2 months ago, I believe. About 2 months ago, we talked to Ty Richardson of Arkansas there. And he mentioned, they almost got to the finish line with Alex Golish, but with the way things kind of worked out there, right? Lane Kiffin was the catalyst of all the big coaching changes in the SEC this season. Both LSU and Florida felt like they had a really good shot at landing Lane Kiffin. So Florida didn't really interview a ton of other candidates. So that meant John Summerall was getting to the finish line with Auburn. Alex Golesh was going to be the guy at Arkansas. And then suddenly Lane Kiffin chooses LSU over Florida. So Florida's got to pivot at the 11th hour. They go with John Summerall out of Tulane, snatching him out from under the rug of Auburn. Auburn does the same thing to Arkansas. 11th hour, they turn to Alex Golesh and say, wait a minute, hold on. Before you sign in Fayetteville, come down to Auburn. And that's exactly what Alex Golesh did. So Arkansas kind of figured out where they stood in the pecking order of the SEC. Beneath LSU, beneath Florida, beneath Auburn, beneath Ole Miss. They go and get Ryan Silverfield from Memphis. New quarterback as well in Fayetteville. You've got a QB battle between KJ Jackson and AJ Hill. AJ Hill was with Silverfield there in Memphis, was the backup quarterback last season, while KJ Jackson was the backup quarterback to Taylon Green last year at Arkansas. So, as we did with yesterday with Alabama, Jackson, I'll start with you. Who do you think wins this starting quarterback job in Fayetteville? AJ Hill and KJ Jackson.
No, I think it'll be AJ Hill. KJ Jackson, we saw a little bit of him last year. He's definitely, a good prospect to have on that roster and have depth with. But he needs that, a little more polish. And we saw AJ Hill, what he could do at Memphis. So I think, he's sticking with his head coach. Head coach is going to stick with his player. And I think that's, familiarity within that system. And I think that's what we're going to see from Arkansas.
Whitman, who do you have winning this quarterback battle?
If A.J. Hill is coming with his head coach, I see no reason why it would not be him. I did actually put eyes on KJ Jefferson once or twice last year, scrolling through my social media, watching, some mop-up time during some of those Arkansas games. But he does not look to be good enough to overthrow what Jackson mentioned, a quarterback coming with his head coach, knowing the system. You got to be a great player to, outdo that, to be better than the guy that has come with the coach. He came with Ryan Silverfield for a reason. I see no reason why A.J. Hill wouldn't be the week one starter, but this definitely feels like something where it's going to be sort of a rep splitting type deal, especially early in the season, while they're getting their non-conference games out of the way outside of Utah, because that is going to be a tough game for the Razorbacks to win on the road.
Yeah, that'll be a tough one, and we'll go over the schedule a little bit later here in the program. But like you mentioned, A.J. Hill, there's a reason you follow your head coach, right? There's a reason you come with your head coach to a new program. It's because you feel like you've got a really good shot at winning the starting job, or maybe you've got some insider intel. Maybe the coach said, hey, unless this guy's a world beater, you're going to win this job here. So I like A.J. Hill a lot. I think he does end up winning that starting quarterback job. Doesn't mean KJ Jackson won't see reps. Like we mentioned, they play North Alabama in week one. As rough as Arkansas was last season, they still took belt to backside on some of these inferior opponents. So I expect that when they play North Alabama, they're going to put belt to backside on UNA. No disrespect to the Lions, but they're going to put belt to backside on them. They should be able to just flat out talent them. And so you've got familiarity with the system at quarterback with the head coach, an offensive-minded head coach. So I do think it'll be A.J. Hill. You look at the running back spot here for Arkansas. They do return Braylon Russell from last season's roster here with the Razorbacks. Braylon Russell was, if I can pull up the stats here, he was the third leading rusher in Fayetteville last season here with 286 yards and 5 touchdowns. Mike Washington was the leader. He's off to the NFL. Taylon Green was second. He's also off to the NFL. And based on what Arkansas did last season and what we kind of saw from Ryan Silverfield at Memphis, right? Because I feel like we watched a little bit more Memphis football than we typically do last season because they beat Arkansas in Memphis. They went out and they beat the Razorbacks last season. They had a chance to go play potentially for a CUSA. Not a CUSA. That's the wrong conference. What conference am I thinking of right here?
Sun Belt?
No, not Sun Belt. Same one as UAB. Wow, I can't believe American. Sorry.
Hey,
we got a lot of G5. We got a lot of G5 schools in the area.
5 years from now, the next Power 5 or the 5th Power 5 conference, if their coaches don't keep getting poached.
We've got a we got a lot of G5 schools in the state of Alabama here. We got 2 in the Sun Belt, one in the American, one in CUSA. So sometimes they blend together a little bit. But in the American, they had a chance to go compete for our conference championship. Couldn't quite get over the hurdle with South Florida and Tulane competing for that spot in that conference there, but still did a really good job last season under Ryan Silverfield. We saw last season there, again, with the running back position, Sutton Smith. This is kind of a projected depth chart that I'm seeing from Sports Illustrated, Arkansas's affiliate with Sports Illustrated there. I believe it's just Arkansas Razorbacks on SI. They've got Braylon Russell listed as the starter coming out of spring practice, who was the third leading rusher last season for the Razorbacks, but they do have Sutton Smith as the second running back on this depth chart. And you may be thinking, who the hell is Sutton Smith? Well, he was a starting running back at Memphis last season, also followed Ryan Silverfield to Fayetteville, Arkansas. He had 102 carries for 669 yards, 7 touchdowns, averaging 6.6 yards per carry. Also had 109 receiving yards here. Arkansas is going to be in a weird position this year because same thing like we said with Alabama yesterday. New first-time starting quarterback at this program. You want to take a lot of the pressure off of that starter. How do you take pressure off a quarterback? You have a good run game. Well, we know Arkansas had a really good run game last season, but that was, brand new coach, that was a different coach. That was a different regime in Fayetteville. And so now we look at it and we say, okay, where does Arkansas go from here? Because the offense was one of the best in the country last season. But on the flip side of that, the defense was one of the worst in the country. They could not stop a bloody nose. They couldn't even stop a runny nose. They got the sniffles and it was going. I mean, they allowed 40 points per game, something like that. Got blanked by Notre Dame there, who was struggling to complete a forward pass by that point in the season. Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price just ran all over the field on that day there. So to take the pressure off that young quarterback, whether it is A.J. Hill or K.J. Jackson, you've got to have a successful run game, and you've also got to have talent at wide receiver. You look at the receiving depth chart here for Arkansas. It's a lot of names that you're not going to know unless you are a diehard Razorback fan. And if you are, we appreciate you listening to the program here. But it's a lot of unfamiliar names. Omega Blake was the leader last season. He's now gone. He is no longer a member of Arkansas as he went off to the NFL draft. Raylan Sharp, second leading receiver, is now at the Indianapolis Colts. So who are the guys in that wide receiver room for Arkansas here? Their first listed receiver is Chris Marshall, who is a transfer from Boise State. Now, he was a decent receiver in terms of yardage at Boise State, 574 yards and 2 touchdowns for the Broncos a season ago. A little bit of SEC experience as well. He started his collegiate career at Texas A&M and had 100 yards as a true freshman with the Aggies. So Chris Marshall, at least he's got a little bit of that SEC experience when you look at what he brings to the table. Your second receiver here is C.J. Brown, who was on Arkansas's roster last season. 28 receptions, 319 yards, and 3 touchdowns for the Razorbacks last season there for C.J. Brown. Donovan, I'm going to butcher this last name, Donovan Fupel, F-A-U-P-E-L. Fupel?
I was just looking at it. That A in there kind of throws me for a loop.
Yeah, that A is kind of confusing me. Regardless, though, he's coming over from New Mexico State and was a really good receiver at New Mexico State last year. 6'1", 195 pounds, originally from Riverside, California. 661 yards and 7 scores for the New Mexico State Aggies last season. Those are going to be your kind of top 3 for Arkansas here when you look at what the Razorbacks bring to the table at the wide receiver position here this season. Again, it's probably, unless you are a diehard college football fan, you're up watching Boise State. You're up watching New Mexico State. You are watching college football as religiously as we do, or you're just a diehard Razorbacks fan that is like just in the meat and potatoes of what Arkansas is doing via the transfer portal. You probably don't know any of these guys, and that's okay. It doesn't mean, we said this with Alabama as well. We say it all the time when we talk about new players on a roster. Questions do not always equal concern. For Arkansas, I think they do, though. I think for Arkansas, when you look at the questions on offense, Ryan Silverfield being an offensive-minded head coach, you maybe have a little bit less concern because of what his offense brings, because of how good that offense was last season at a G5 program. But when you look at Arkansas, don't really have the pedigree, don't really have the talent. You should have the money, but Tyson and Walmart, or busy giving their money to John Calipari in basketball. Jerry Jones, I have no idea what the hell Jerry Jones is doing with his NIL money for Arkansas here. Do the Razorbacks have the money to compete at a high level? Now, we mentioned the offense here in this segment. We'll talk defense in the next segment because that's a really crucial unit for Arkansas next season because like I mentioned last year, they couldn't stop the sniffles. And in the SEC, you've got to be able to field. I mean, if you're a top 50 defense in the country, you still are probably not in the top half of the SEC when you look at total defense. So it's what Arkansas was last season. So let's talk about the Razorbacks here on the other side of this break defensively here on Tide 100.9 and
Big color, bigger savings. Sherwin-Williams Super Sale is here. Get 40% off paints and stains June 5th through the 11th with prices starting at $30.89. Whether you're refreshing your interior or exterior, we've got the colors to bring your vision to life. And with delivery, getting everything to your door is easier than ever. Shop online to have it delivered or visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store. Click the banner to learn more. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details. Delivery available on qualifying orders.
29. That's 800-923-6829. What do you have to lose? Call 800-923-6829. Again, 800-923-6829.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Here's your Tuscaloosa and West Alabama forecast. We're going to mention an afternoon shower or storm, but I think they're going to be few and far between here this afternoon. Sunny, warm, and sticky, 93, 75 tonight, an early shower or storm. Partly cloudy. Better chance of rain and thunderstorms tomorrow and again on Sunday. Saturday's high 93, Sunday's high 91. Widespread showers and storms expected next week. Monday's high 82. Richard Wedding of the Weather Channel for Town Square Media, Tuscaloosa.
It's 92 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
24/7, 365. We've got all your coverage of the Crimson Tide on Tide 100.9 and 12:30 AM WTBC.
Welcome back into the Deep South College Football Show here on Tide 100.9 and 12:30 AM WTBC. We talked about the Arkansas offense in the previous segment. And now we talk a little bit about the Razorback defense, as Arkansas's defense was not good. There's no way to sugarcoat it. There's no way to be nice about it. This defense was not good last season. And ultimately, it's part of what led to Sam Pittman getting let go from his tenure with the Arkansas Razorbacks. Now, in that ad break, I went through and I was looking at a projected depth chart for Arkansas's defense, and I started pulling up stats for all of these guys here. All right. There is 1, 2, I'm counting 2, 3 primary defenders on this Arkansas team that were here last season. So they have completely revamped this defensive side of the football here when you look at Arkansas. And again, right, we make a big deal about returning starters. Take last season, for example, right? My national championship prediction was Alabama and Clemson. I understand how ugly that looked, but that was my national championship prediction last year. One of the reasons I picked Clemson was because they had so many returning starters, returning running back, returning quarterback, returners on the offensive line, returning defensive linemen. But I learned a valuable lesson last season here.
I mean, Clemson still had a ton of guys go in the draft.
They did. But I learned a valuable lesson last year. Just because you have a returning starter does not mean that they're going to be good. If they were not good the year prior, there's a good chance they're not going to be good this next season. So when you look at Arkansas, 11 defenders on that side of the football, because we play with 11 guys on defense, and only 3 returning. Well, I'm looking at the stats here, and 2 out of those 3 seem to be guys that were pretty damn good. So at least you've got a little bit of a veteran presence. They've they understand what Arkansas should be on that defensive side of the ball, but you've got a lot of new faces in that program. You've got a lot of new guys on that defensive side of the football, which, again, I think you needed based off of what last year's defense looked like. Now, I will say probably the best defender on this Arkansas defense last season, outside of maybe like Xavier Sori at linebacker, was Quincy Rhodes at defensive end / edge rusher. He finished last year with 44 total tackles, 8 sacks, 15.5 tackles for loss. One of the few bright spots on that Arkansas defense was Quincy Rhodes Jr. here. So I anticipate him being another good defender for Arkansas. He's played in 33 career games, 60 total tackles, had an explosive season last year, right? In 2024, he had 15 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, and a sack. That was it. In 2025, 44 tackles, 15 and a half for loss, 8 sacks there for the Razorbacks. So, again, on the defensive line, that's at least a little bit of a bright spot here when you look at Arkansas. On the interior of the defensive line, you're going to be really, really inexperienced because your starter is allegedly going to be David Oki, who had 4 tackles and 1 tackle for loss last season. Not much experience there when you look at David Oki. Only played in 3 games. I wonder if he was – I didn't do a ton of, deep dive research. All right, was this guy injured? Was it, what was his situation? But only playing in 3 games. He's listed as a senior. I would almost anticipate that he dealt with injury last season, and that's kind of what hindered his performance in 2024. You look at a familiar name for those of us in Tuscaloosa. Hunter Osborne is allegedly going to be a starting defensive lineman for Arkansas this season. You remember Hunter Osborne? He played a little bit in 4 games in 2024 for the University of Alabama. He had 3 tackles and a pass breakup in 24, which was Kalen DeBoer's first season in Tuscaloosa. Transferred to Virginia last season, played in 14 games, had 15 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, and a sack on the interior of that defensive line. So it feels like SEC starting experience, big game experience, quote unquote, is maybe what Arkansas was hunting for. Because when I look at some of these transfers, I'm looking at, you've got a former Alabama guy by way of Virginia. You've got a Kentucky linebacker. You've got, a guy who played 3 seasons at Tennessee, a guy who originally signed with Auburn in this on this defense here when you look at Arkansas's defense. So maybe we do like a little bit of SEC experience. Maybe having that SEC experience really is actually important when you look at the Razorbacks. But Whitman Jackson, can Arkansas be better on defense, or is last season's just kind of, hey, it is what it is with these guys?
Yeah, I think it just is what it is at this point. I mean, like you said, only 3 returning starters or even 3 returning experienced players on that defense for Arkansas. I think you're just going to have to eat it this year if you're Arkansas defensively and probably offensively. You don't have the easiest schedule in the world. Seems like every year Arkansas gets raked over the coals when it comes to scheduling in the SEC. Them and, I would say, Florida. But, I mean, it's going to be another long year for Arkansas fans. Utah, Georgia, Texas A&M.
It's definitely not going to be the easiest year when you look at Arkansas here, unfortunately. Whitman, can they be any better, on defense this season, though?
I said it yesterday. I like to look at things through a lens of optimism. So in the purest form of answering your question, yes, they can be better. To look through Jackson's lens, probably not, because they haven't shown us any reason to believe that they will. It's just there is a non-zero chance that the team gets better. Also, if we're looking through the lens of optimism, it's going to be really hard to get a lot worse. It's going to be really hard to get any worse. Because they were at the point last year where
they were the worst defense in the Power 4 last year.
Stop a runny nose is kind of cutting it close to an understatement. That team was bad. I will say, though, despite being one of the most deserving fan bases in college football, there is no fan base better suited to handle this than Razorback fans. They have experienced disappointment at every level through every sport in a manner in which I've never seen before through professional or college sports. But to answer your question, yes, but they probably won't.
I really and truly do feel bad for Arkansas fans. That's a good fan base. They support that program through thick and thin, whatever you want to consider to be bad. Is the thick bad because you're trudging through the mud, or is the thin bad because your patience is thin? I don't know. I don't really know what constitutes as bad in the phrase thick or thin, but they've supported that program no matter what. They've had heartbreak after heartbreak after heartbreak in basketball and baseball and football. Nobody deserves success more than Arkansas fans. And yet it just seems like that athletic program, the boosters, they just are not giving their athletic programs the support that they need.
I think that's because they don't believe that it will ever happen. I mean, they're doing their best with basketball and baseball. Basketball, they got Calipari. They're going to do.
They got Cal. They won the SEC tournament. They've made it in March Madness a couple of times.
Basketball and baseball will always be fine at Arkansas. Football, on the other hand, doesn't seem like it'll ever be.
You're just in a rough spot.
Yeah, you might success for Arkansas at year in and year out would probably be being ranked within that 18 to 25 range.
Yeah,
8-4, maybe a 9-3 here and there, but
8-4. Arkansas fans are ready to give these guys extensions.
Exactly.
Well, Sam Pittman went 9-3 in 2021, and they said, "Hell yes, give this man an extension." He was fired 4 years later.
Right, and I mean, they play Georgia week 2. That's going to be
brutal.
Yeah,
brutal.
A home opener is Gunnar Stockton running right up your, you know what.
No, I mean, to go off of what we've talked about with the fans, they're so passionate. That year they went 9-3. It would not surprise me that if there was an Arkansas baby name log, there was a spike in little baby boys named Sam that year.
Yeah.
That they went 9-3. Now they win.
I feel like there were a lot of kids named Traylon that year. Traylon Burks.
Yeah. Maybe a couple Talons in there last year because, I mean, they didn't win anything, but he's fun to watch.
He was a lot of fun to watch.
He was really fun to watch. I mean, he was the sole. Him and Mike Washington were the sole bright spots. I mean, is it fair to say? God, this is really mean. I almost don't even want to say this on air. Is it fair to say that Arkansas's biggest moment last year was Mike Washington setting the 40 record for that year at the Combine for running backs?
Probably.
Or was there some 60-yard Taylon Green touchdown that I missed? That
I'm sure there was probably some big touchdown play, but I mean, when you go 2-10 and winless in SEC play,
hey, they won the Battle of Arkansas last year.
They did. They did.
Took down the Red Wolves.
It's the first time they've ever played in program history.
If Arkansas goes 3-9 this year, that fan base should be ecstatic.
Yeah,
because it's better than 2-10. They're on their way up.
They're in the same boat that I think Mississippi State was going into this year. You remember you and I and Chase talked a lot last fall. Mississippi State, they need to win that conference game. And when I was putting out my power rankings every year, or every week, it was Mississippi State can just win that conference game. Who knows? I think Arkansas, if they just have to win one, but we'll save that for the prediction side, what we consider success, the tail end of this show. But it's not looking very bright in Fayetteville.
It's not. Another defender I do want to highlight, though, is Bradley Shaw, inside linebacker, been at Arkansas the last 2 seasons, played in 24 games over the last 2 years, so 12 games in each of the last 2 seasons. Had a really good year last year, 50 total tackles, 5 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, also had a pass breakup, a fumble recovery, returned 32 yards for a touchdown, and a forced fumble. So, I mean, you've at least got a couple, I would say, bright spots on that defensive side of the ball. And you may have to rely on it early because, yeesh, you got a rough schedule here. So let's talk about this schedule on the other side after this next time out here on the Deep South College Football Show. We're doing our Arkansas season preview and predictions here on Tide 100.9.
Experience is preferred but not required. Apply at coviacorp.com or call the Covia office at 205-758-8353.
What does it mean to advertise and do your marketing with Town Square Media Tuscaloosa? Melissa started her business in 2014. What would you say to someone considering Town Square Media Tuscaloosa?
My experience with Town Square Media has been awesome, and I would definitely recommend it to anyone. I think that this is the first time in my marketing experience that I've been able to see my return on investment. I would definitely say in the past that has not been the case. In this, I like knowing that that's 100%. A lot of the marketing we've done has been radio. You guys have so much more to offer than that, whether it's, websites, from targeted marketing to radio. You are kind of a one-stop shop, and it makes doing marketing so much easier. So I would definitely recommend it.
For more info on marketing with Town Square Media Tuscaloosa, call 205-345-7200 or click on Advertise with Us on our website.
Did you miss any episode on Tide 100.9? Don't worry. All of our shows can be found on Spotify and Apple Music and on demand on the Tide 100.9 app.
We're taking a look at the Arkansas Razorbacks here on the Deep South College Football Show on Tide 100.9 and 1230 AM WTBC. You look at the schedule here for Arkansas, and like Jackson and Whitman and I have mentioned here, it's brutal here when you look at what the Razorbacks schedule looks like here. North Alabama to start the season. Okay, great. Week 2, you go to Utah. You got to travel all the way to Utah for a matchup with the Utes there. And then you turn right back around and you host Georgia. You play Tulsa in week number 4. You go to Texas A&M in that rivalry game, which used to be played in Jerry World out in Dallas, out in Arlington, if we're going to get locations exactly right. But I guess Jerry Jones said, man, these guys stink. Get them off my field. Ironic considering he fields the Cowboys every Sunday. You host Tennessee a week after that, and then you go to Vanderbilt. You host Missouri. You go to Auburn to start the month of November there. Host South Carolina, go to Texas, and host LSU to round out the season. Man, that's a brutal schedule. Can they get an SEC win? Can they win at least one SEC game this season?
Again, through the lens of optimism, they can. They played in some close games last year. Tennessee's at home. That'll probably end up being a closer game than Josh Heupel wants it to be. You never know with Auburn. Missouri's still kind of up in the air in regards to Ahmad Hardy. Right. South Carolina very well could fall flat on their face again. However, I don't know the likelihood of South Carolina because Silverfield's probably going to put a lot of eggs into the basket of Texas, followed by the Battle of the Boot with LSU, those 2 games to close out the year. So realistically, if Arkansas is looking for a win, it needs to be done halfway through November, or it's not going to happen.
Okay, Jackson.
I think their best chance for a, power win, and this might seem a little crazy, would be week 2 Utah.
Okay.
You have a new head coach at Utah, a lot of fluctuations there. Nobody really knows what offensively you're going to do at Arkansas. You could just say, all right, screw it. We know we have no defense. We're just going scorched earth here offensively.
Do what Mississippi State did against Arizona State. You've got a good Big 12 team that you're either going to or you're hosting. Just dump the clip week 2 and see what happens. If you get a win, because let's be real here, you never play to not win a football game.
Right.
But if you can't get a win in week 2, you, your mother, and your grandmother know it's not happening in week 3.
Nope.
So, get some confidence in week 1, put up more points than the scoreboard can hold, and then
hang 70 on North Alabama and take momentum into Utah.
I think scorched earth is probably the only term that can apply to that Utah game if they want to win. Now, they're going to need some more continuity from leadership down into the football program, because you remember a couple weeks ago, Hunter Yurachek put out a memo whining and moaning about the schedule, which I found that to be ballistically stupid. But
it was funny. It was funny to make fun of that.
I saw something on Instagram. This is kind of away from the point, but it said an Arkansas fan was like, "This made me mad, not because of the schedule, but because it reminded me that Hunter Yurachek is in fact our athletic director."
Yeah, man, is it a Hunter Yurachek problem? Like, realistically, is he the problem for Arkansas right now?
There are a lot.
We know he's not, the most outspoken person based on what he did as the committee chair last season. So did we all just get a small glimpse into what Arkansas's got to deal with on a daily basis?
Let's hope that with his attention no longer on the college football playoff, being the chair of that committee, he can devote.
No, it is. He's the chair he's the chair again this year.
Again?
Yeah.
Oh, well, scratch that.
Well, because the Baylor guy had a situation that forced him to resign and step down from that. So Yurachek was pushed as an emergency. This would have been the year that Juracek was going to be it regardless, though.
To be fair, I guess he may not be good at his job, but if we're looking to eliminate bias out of the College Football Playoff Committee, who better than Arkansas's athletic director? Because I can assure you,
he doesn't like the SEC.
So bias is not an issue. He's not going to be one of those guys that has to get up and leave the room when they're discussing who's in and who's out.
That might be a clippable moment right there. He might suck, but he's at least not biased.
Not at all. I mean,
we look for silver linings around here, Wyatt.
Yeah,
he may not be good at what he does, but at least he's honest.
We're a glass half full kind of group.
Like I mentioned before, with the way the SEC front office rakes them over with their schedule every year, no favors from Arkansas and Juracek when it comes to the playoff.
Would it be beneficial for them to go to the Big 12?
Probably. I think they would probably be a middle of the pack Big 12 team this year if they were not in the SEC.
In terms of year in, year out success record wise, yes. But this is not a shot at the Big 12. You lose a lot of notoriety that Arkansas has spent years developing as maybe not a good SEC program when it comes to athletics, more specifically football, but nonetheless a very respectable program.
Yeah, I remember that 2022 Alabama-Arkansas game where, I didn't expect Alabama to struggle. I went to the game. I went to the game as a fan, and
it's okay. Neither did Arkansas.
Literally, Bryce Young, Alabama's up 21-0 in that ball game, and I'm talking smack to every single person around me. Next thing I know, here comes Jalen Milroe running onto the field, and I'm like, oh crap.
Hey,
what happened to Bryce, man? And Milroe was the backup. I'm not saying this isn't an indictment on Milroe. This is simply just
okay.
What the hell happened to my starting quarterback? What the hell happened to the reigning Heisman Trophy winner? Why am I seeing a backup quarterback on the field? And for the record, Milroe did extend the lead. Then here comes Arkansas making it a one-score game, and all I got to say is thank God for that 75-yard run, and thank God for Jahmyr Gibbs, because I'd have had a lot of crow to eat had had Alabama gone out and lost that game.
That was a Pete Golding defense issue, not an offense issue.
No, it was. The offense still was cooking on the ground there. Jalen Milroe, 75-yard run, 2 70-plus yard touchdowns from Jahmyr Gibbs late in that ball game. Defense just decided, you know what, we're going to take off the third quarter. You guys got it. We got a 20-point lead. Y'all got this. And they didn't have it.
They did not.
They did not. The narrator says they, in fact, did not have that.
Like I said, 3-9, Arkansas fans are ecstatic. 1% better. Even if it's just the next year, you're still 1% better.
Hey, man, if you go 3-9 and then 4-8 and then 5-7, you're getting a little better every year.
Right, 3-9.
4 years into this thing, you could make a bowl game.
Win against Utah, scorched earth, and then, just flatten out.
Figure it out.
Yeah.
See, the thing is, if they go 3-9, I actually do see a good, or not 3-9. If they beat Utah, I do see a path to them making a bowl game, because that would mean Arkansas is better than we anticipated. If they beat Utah, they're better than we anticipated. So maybe they do, do you beat Tennessee, who's got a first-time starting quarterback? Do you walk into Nashville and win a ball game?
Well, it wouldn't be.
Can you somehow beat Auburn on the Plains, and then suddenly you're a game against Missouri and South Carolina away from potentially a bowl?
They were able to beat Tennessee when Nico was there the year they made the playoff.
They did.
Not out of the realm of possibilities. And Missouri, you might be able to catch Missouri on a bad Saturday for them, or South Carolina.
And like Whitman mentioned, if Ahmad Hardy's not good to go, if he misses the season, suddenly Missouri becomes a much, much more interesting program to watch, because I don't know that Austin Simmons can elevate them to the level that Ahmad Hardy could. We'll give our predictions for Arkansas and wrap up the loose ends here on the other side of this break, here on the Deep South College Football Show on Tide 100.9 and 1230 AM WTBC.
West Alabama real-time news update from the Tuscaloosa Thread Newsroom.
The Northport City Council has approved a $41.8 million incentive package to bring upscale Big Mike Steakhouse to the city. Heat indices of 100 degrees and up will create problems for outdoor activities and persons sensitive to heat today and tomorrow. The UA baseball team wants to accomplish more than just make the College World Series, according to Tide coach Rob Vaughn.
Much as we're happy to be here, this is not the end goal.
Bama plays Oklahoma at 2 tomorrow afternoon in Omaha. Click TuscaloosaThread.com for more news. Don Hartley, Town Square Media, Tuscaloosa.
Coming up on The Game with Ryan Fowler.
Coming up on the Friday edition of The Game, we'll do a free-for-all Friday sponsored by Brian Harden Construction. We'll also have a chance to talk some Alabama baseball with a former sports information director at the University of Alabama. Barry Allen's going to join us as we continue our baseball conversation. We'll talk to Brett Greenberg. We'll set up recruiting for the University of Alabama the upcoming weekend. Brett Beard's going to join us as well. And one more surprise guest as we start at 2 p.m. on The Game with Ryan Fowler on Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
The longest running sports talk show in Tuscaloosa. The Game with Ryan Fowler.
What's possible? Ask your doctor about Tremfya today. Call 1-800-526-7736 to learn more or visit TremfyaRadio.com.
Your front row seat to all things Alabama. Tide 100.9 and 1230 AM WTBC. The home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
We've gone over the offense, we've gone over the defense, and now we've gone over the schedule here for the Arkansas Razorbacks in our Arkansas season preview and prediction program here today on Tide 100.9. Now we give our official predictions. Jackson, what do you think Arkansas does in 2026?
I'm going optimistic here. 3-9. Scorched earth against Utah sends that program
3-9.
into a frenzy right before they get smacked by Georgia at home, where they can then come back and win by 3 against Tulsa.
So you have them going 3-9 and winless in SEC play.
Correct. But
so
hey,
3-9, they're going 0-9 in conference
overall
play.
SEC out of conference record for the season. They're going to do us a W in that column.
They'll at least help with that side of things. Whitman.
I'm an optimistic guy. I'm going to put on the SEC glasses. They will take down Utah.
Okay.
It will happen. They
So
will beat North Alabama and Tulsa. Tulsa will probably be they'll probably win on a safety with 10 seconds left because that's just what they do over there in Fayetteville. And I will say there's nothing that scares the other 15 teams in this conference more than an angered Razorback team with one extra conference game to get it done. I don't see a world where they go 2 straight years without a conference win, because while the Big Ten may have that top-heavy argument as to who's the best conference, the argument that the SEC is the deepest has to mean something. You pair that with my feelings towards Tennessee in Fayetteville, something crazy might happen. Ahmad Hardy's status is up in the air, something might happen. South Carolina, even when they're 9-3, 8-4, it's still South Carolina. They still lose
one they're not supposed to.
You know, I mean, that's just the way it goes here. I don't see a world where Arkansas plays 9 SEC games and does not win one. Give me 4-8. Give me 4-8.
Or an LSU.
So you have them going undefeated.
An LSU at the end of the year that overlooks Arkansas.
Battle for the boot, man. It's one of the most fun rivalries in the sport. So
fourth quarter lead for the Hogs in that game last year on the road.
Yep.
What happens if Lane Kiffin and his team has already lost 3 games? They're out of the playoffs. Maybe they've already lost 4 at that point, and we're just going, well, this year's over. Send them to the Texas Bowl again.
Yeah, they didn't even get the Citrus Bowl at that point.
Lane Kiffin's already scrolling on Tinder at that point. You never know.
Hey, come on. Like Jackson said, hey, come on, do something. Like,
you never know.
We expect you to be something here. So you've got 4-8. any wins, or they got to win one game at least in SEC play. So you've got them beating North Alabama, Utah, and Tulsa, and just a random SEC team.
If you were to ask me to pick, it would be the trifecta of Tennessee, Missouri, or South Carolina.
Okay.
Dark horse.
I don't hate that.
Like, if we're going like Taylon Green was your dark horse for the Heisman last year level dark horse, if LSU crumbles.
Mine was John Mateer.
If LSU crumbles and Ryan Silverfield is playing to like give the boys in Fayetteville something to look forward to next year, I wouldn't want to be an 7-4 LSU team going into Arkansas when they've got, like, when I say nothing to lose,
literally
like
nothing
their bank
to
accounts
lose.
in the negatives. Like, they literally, by the definition of nothing, have nothing to lose.
They pulled a Brendan Sorsby, put it all on black.
Exactly. Oh, wow. This is the same LSU team as well that gave up halfway through the Texas A&M game and never looked back the rest of the season.
This is true.
So if they underperform with Lane Kiffin, there's no way he can reel that team in, especially with the amount of mercenaries they have on that team that are just there for the bag and maybe a little publicity. Like, if they lose 3 games, LSU might end 8-4.
If some of these locations were flipped, I actually probably would pick Arkansas in these games. Like, if Vanderbilt had to go to Fayetteville, if Auburn had to go to Fayetteville, like they did last year, like I probably would pick Arkansas. And it bit me in the ass last season. But we said one more win. 3-9 is 1% better. They get 1% better this season. I've got them going 3-9, 1-8 in SEC play. So I do think they lose on the road at Utah, but they win an SEC game. They will not go 2 seasons without an SEC win. I'm going to circle South Carolina. That's the one that I think Arkansas can win that ball game. Because if South Carolina, did fall flat on their face, by that point it's not are they falling flat? It's they did fall flat, or it's either they did or they didn't by the time we get to that ball game. So if they fall flat on their face, I could easily see Arkansas just ticked off after, getting eviscerated by Georgia and A&M and probably losing on the road at Auburn. You got Texas and LSU, probably not going to win either of those games. Arkansas just says, you know what? Screw it. Same thing as like y'all are saying scorched earth on Utah. We're going to empty the clip against South Carolina. Just leave every bullet's out of the chamber at that point. So, and we're going to unload on South Carolina.
We can't come to a consensus on that Utah game. And it really doesn't matter until we pick them the Thursday before. If we can't all agree on who's going to win, can the 3 of us all agree that is going to be the most exciting week 2, 10 o'clock kickoff?
Yes.
The good Lord ever did give us.
I'm so excited because Bama's a 2:30 kick that weekend in Lexington. I'm going to get back to my hotel in Lexington and be finishing postgame for Alabama as that game is starting, which means that I get to just fade off into the night with some semblance of Pac-12 after dark. You get a former Pac-12 team. Arkansas is going to go scorched earth. That thing might end 63-60, and I'm A-OK. That thing will end 63-60 at 1 a.m. in the morning, at 1 a.m., and I'm going to be perfectly happy with that.
Both teams might lose, and it's going to be fun.
Exactly. Also, if Arkansas has only 2 wins, not a conference win yet, heading into that LSU game, that scorched earth moment might happen in that game.
That's another one where it's like, we can't go 2-10 2 years in a row and winless in the SEC. Empty the clip.
Not to mention that
Lane Kiffin, suck my hog. That's exactly what they're going to say. Ask if